Hello, everyone. Jeff Gaduk here from Leisure Group Travel, and today with me in Travel Industry Insider, Scott Knutson, Vice President of Sales and Marketing for Costa Cruise Lines. Scott, how you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. Better than most days. Thank you.
Good, good. So, as you probably know, I'm a huge fan of the Costa product and cruising overall, having a history in the business. Having been on board twice, I think it compares very favorably to other North American products. For those, though, that are a little unfamiliar with Costa or maybe need a little bit of brush up, can you kind of walk us through the cruise line ships deployments, I guess, in a typical year? I think we know where everybody's deployed mostly these days, but talk a little bit about Costa.
Yeah, absolutely. And now that you've been on board with us a number of times, I think I should say our last name like the Italians do, Geduk.
Oh, I like it.
With my hands. Well, you know the product, and I always have appreciated that you appreciate what it is, because it's not an American, necessarily an American red, white, and blue brand. We pretty much cater to a guest who's looking for an international experience without the international price tag, and they're comfortable being around people from all over the world, different nationalities. Even in the Caribbean, when we were there, we had the opportunity to say, you can drive to Italy, for example, get a taste of Italy in the tropics. So you get a little bit of both vacations. You get the whole Italian experience without flying 8 or 12 hours to Italy or the Med. But you also get the flavor of the Caribbean. So what we cater to is that explorer mindset who likes, they're either foodies, wine lovers, romantics, we call them plain old lovers, destination collectors, history buffs, those people that are looking for not just a sedentary experience. We position ourselves sort of as upscale contemporary. When I think of the contemporary brands like our Carnival sister and some of the others in that segment, it's a lot of glitz and it's a lot of high energy. And then you look at the premium area, which we have a couple of those with Princess and Holland, and it's a little bit more of a sophisticated or slower pace. So we're kind of in the middle there. So I think we have too much style for contemporary, but too much energy for premium. So we're sort of in the middle niche. And I don't know about any other brands that are really in that segment. So, we look for people that like to get out. They like to be, immersed in an international experience. And that's what's going to happen, because once you land in Rome or Barcelona, you're going to come to the ship after a couple of days, hopefully in those areas. And the experience is going to continue with like-minded people and people from various countries. We source from about 40 different countries. So American's going to be about 10 to 15% of the sourcing. And for people that love that, we're ideal. For people that would rather be on an American hotel sailing to Europe, kind of like my parents, 90 years old from Chicago, they're a little bit more comfortable with being around Americans and going in to see these places. But we're going to be more of that brand that says, hey, if you really want to get immersed in every part of a European experience, then Costa's the way to go.
Well, I certainly like the international flair on board, whether you're in Europe and you're of the 10 or 15%, or sailing out of the Caribbean, which you typically do, as you mentioned, in the winter. I'm sure the numbers are a little bit higher there, but I just think it adds to the overall experience that there's people from other nationalities. I've cruised with my kids before on Costa, and they've actually met kids from other countries, and I think it helps them just appreciate that much more the experience. So you're not on with somebody from Dallas, Texas necessarily, but they could be from Milan. So they've met some pen pals through that process. It's just been a really enjoyable experience. So Scott, I was really excited to see that you guys rebooted operations in Europe, and that's really what we're kind of talking about today. I've got a quick video to share, which was the rollout of the first cruise leaving port, if I recall correctly.
Costa Deliziosa on her very first voyage.
All right, let me go ahead and play that. So how exciting was that experience for everybody involved with Costa?
Yeah, it was. I'm not sure if the audio came through on that, but you know, it was a very emotional experience. We had people at the pier in Trieste that were seeing us off. It was the first time we'd sailed in about 6 months. A lot of employees were on board, and they said there wasn't a dry eye, on the ship, because these ships have been laid up. These beautiful ships that are designed to sail and give people these wonderful experiences, been laid up, doing nothing for 6 months. And for her to hear that the ship's horn as she was pushing off, it was like I still get a little bit of chills, because it's like we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, and what a difficult time it was, but also what a memorable experience to actually be back and moving back into life as our new normal.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm interested to hear how you did it. And also, there's been a lot of talk about the return of cruising back to North America. And we know, part of that is political, part of that is safety wise. Maybe towards the tail end, you can update as far as what you know about that. But if you don't mind, I'll turn over the screen to you here and kind of walk us through a little bit about what you guys have put into place, and really how you've rebooted operations in Europe.
Great, Jeff. Now, again, you know that I'm a little technology challenged. So do we want to share screen first, or just go to the PowerPoint?
Correct. Yeah, go ahead and share screen, and then go ahead and open your PowerPoint.
All right, so let me just take everyone through. And first of all, thank you for attending or viewing this at your leisure. I hope you have a chance to take a look at it. So I'm going to walk you through a little bit of where we are right now, an update with Costa, and then where we're going. We'll talk a little bit about the product, and then I'll get into the dynamics of group travel and why I believe it's going to be even more thrilling in the future as we move into this new normal. So we are happy to be sailing again. We've overcome some number of challenges, as everyone is aware, particularly in the U.S. So we're working with international regulations, with the EU, with particularly the Italian government, to put actions into place that's going to allow us and make them satisfied that we're able to get back out there cruising again safely. We're going to start initially with only Italian nationals sailing to Italian ports. So that began 4 weeks ago with the Deliziosa that we saw a minute ago. The next step is going to allow European citizens from the 18 countries of the Schengen group, and that's going to be rolled in eventually. We've now got 2 ships sailing. So the Costa Deliziosa is sailing from Trieste that we just saw, and she's doing 7-day cruises at the moment to Italian ports, and she'll soon be going to Greek ports starting this weekend. Costa Diadema, which was one of our newest, biggest, most beautiful ships, began sailing a little while ago, and she's doing 12-day itineraries to the Canaries, and she will be doing a 12-day itinerary to the Canary Islands, and a 14-day itinerary, which is new for us, to Egypt and Greece, which will be a fantastic way to sail. Now, all of these, of course, are not open to Americans as of yet, but we are only in October, so we fully expect by the beginning of the year that these restrictions, assuming that everything moves in a positive direction, will be lifted, and we'll start seeing Americans sailing with us starting in the first quarter of 2021, and then heavily back into 21 and 22. Soon to be deployed this weekend is the Costa Smeralda. She's our flagship. She's a liquefied natural gas ship, the first in the world that sails globally. So she'll be the cleanest ship in the world to sail. We actually inaugurated her back in February, but that's also just about the same time that all this chaos began. So it's nice to welcome her back. She's a beautiful ship, and she's going to be sailing initially to 5 or 6 ports along the Italian coast, and then she'll eventually move into the Western Caribbean, where she'll do Marseille, Barcelona, Mallorca, Cagliari, and then back to Civitavecchia. So we've put a number of protocols in place, 10 in particular that I want to tell you about briefly, but I also want to let you know that they're on the Costa website. They're also at Sea Extra. onboard.com, which is our agent portal. If you're an agent, if you're a tour operator or a group leader, you can sign up for it as well. Get in there and learn about Costa. But there are 10 basic things that we've put in place. And I got to tell you, after 4 weeks of the Deliziosa, we've not had one single incident of the pandemic that's going on at this point. I hesitate to name it because it's not good luck, right? So extra attention for every single passenger. Check-in is going to be carried out 72 hours, so 3 days before you arrive. You'll be asked to check in and fill out a self-certification questionnaire about your health. We're going to stagger the boarding times so that we'll start at say 11 o'clock and go till 6 o'clock. So it'll be a little bit longer of a check-in, but we'll ask that if we've got 1,000 people on board, we want to stagger that so that's maybe 50 every half hour so that we can maintain social distancing. At the terminal, then you'll be asked to do a screening to check your temperature. There will be a COVID swab that's done. If you're test negative, you go right ahead and board. If there are any questions, you'll do a molecular test after that. And assuming that you pass, you'll board again. You will be able to board. If not, then we'll make arrangements to get you somewhere else to vacation. So one of the things we've done is try to eliminate, as much paper and as much movement of connecting with materials. So we're on our mycosta.com. Before leaving, you can register and you can use your smartphone to do all kinds of things. Check dining, you can check menus, you can check shore excursions, any questions that you have, you'd be able to do that on your smartphone. Also around the ship, we'll have a lot of informational screens where you can come by and check it out. So we're not going to have your typical information desk, like a purser's desk, because you obviously have lines there. And we're hoping that this will be the new normal, where it's kind of an inconvenience, to wait in line and when it's something you could do by your smartphone or in your cabin on your own. More space. So the number of passengers on board is going to be reduced. We're currently sailing at about 50%. We expect to stay there for a little while. Gradually, we'll move that up based on social distancing, and there's no real percentage that's been established as long as we can maintain social distancing. So you'll have common areas and other rooms that are remodeled so that they meet that requirement. So, some tables won't be available, but again, with 50% occupancy, there's going to be plenty of space. And I think it's going to be a nice mix actually of use of the space. Lots of signs in these high traffic areas. Onboard staff will be able to direct people, and we'll have some directional information based on the high traffic areas. Just as on land, in public areas, we're going to ask for protective masks to be worn most of the time. The only time that you won't be required to do that, obviously, is in the dining room or in your cabin. We'll have hand sanitizers that'll be increased about 10 times. So probably every 100 feet that you walk, you'll have a hand sanitizer available to you. And the crew's going to be 100% in protection mode. So they will always be in masks, and anytime that they're outside in the public areas, they'll be required to wear masks. Bartenders, restaurants, entertainment, except on stage. Our restaurants are going to be a little bit different. So we're going to limit the number of people per seating and per table. If it's in your own group, then no problem. If there's 6 of you and you want to have lunch, dinner, breakfast, lunch, dinner, or breakfast, I guess in reverse, you can do that. Otherwise, if you're traveling alone or want to sit by yourself, we'll have plenty of open space because we're going to open the dining rooms much longer hours than normal. So if it's usually 6:30 to 9, now we're talking 6:30 to 11, lunch from 11:30 till 3, and dinner from 6 till probably 9:30 or 10. So there'll be lots of different ways to separate. We're also going to use those smartphones to substitute for menus so that don't get passed back and forth. So they'll have a QR code. You can pull up your menu each night. You can pull it up in advance if you want to see what's on the agenda for the dinner, and then make your selections via the code. If you're not comfortable with that, our waiter is going to help you to do it as well. New forms of entertainment. So the shows that typically seat 1,000 people, 1,200 people, are going to be doubled, or maybe tripled even, so that we'll have 3 shows or 4 shows an evening instead of 1 or 2. So that'll allow for spacing. And again, those people that are in the same group together are obviously welcome to sit together. If not, and you're not comfortable with that, then we'll have enough spacing that you can still watch the shows and not have any cutback there, but also do it in a spacing environment. Kids are also going to have, their requirements in the squat club, which is our kids program, and those will be limited as well, how many people can get in at a time, but we're also going to increase those hours as well. On the tour side, in order to keep us our guests sort of in that so-called bubble, we're going to offer more tours, more inexpensive tours, a variety of ways, starting from a basic tour of the city to going off to a winery in a protected group or a specialized group. But we will require initially that guests, if they're going to leave the ship, do it on a tour that's organized by Costa, so that we know the buses are sanitized. We know that the places we're going are sanitized. They're expecting us. They will have to follow stringent requirements in order to continue to work with us. And we'll reduce the capacity on the buses to about 50%. So there'll be a nice spacing there. Eventually we'll be able to get off the ship independently, but right now that's not in place. And when that does happen, it'll be for certain designated areas that we say, okay, you can go here and these shops, but it may be for certain hours and certain regulations that come with that until we get to a point where we feel, all of us feel that this is time to move on. So the public areas are sanitized. I was on the ship a couple of years ago as a experience for management to go on and see how hard the crew worked, and believe me, they work hard. And I did 3 stairwells of railings, and it took me about 4 hours. I think I lost about 5 pounds. And they used to do that twice a day. Now they're doing it 6 times a day. So you're going to find a cabin or one of the crew out there sanitizing railings, elevators, buttons, anything you can think of is going to be disinfected on a 24-hour basis. Your cabin's going to also be disinfected 4 times a day. So the personnel is going to be in there quite often and making sure that everything in your cabin is safe as well. And we've also made some changes to the onboard air quality so that we're circulating air from the outside in a new system versus recirculating it inside. So that's a nice change as well. And all of these things, are again unintended consequences, but it's the way to the future. And once this is over, these will still be in place. But it's going to make cruising even a more safe way to, for example, see Europe than a random land tour where you don't know what the hotel's protocols are or where you're going and what their protocols are in place. So we kind of see this as a blessing in that because of these stringent requirements, we're going to be the safest way to go to a lot of these destinations going forward. If guests show any signs of health, our crew members are trained. We do have isolation units, cabins on board the ship that can be converted into hospital rooms, essentially. It's in a worst case scenario, but there will be areas of the ship where people can be quarantined if they need to be. So far, so good. And then our crew members are always subject to temperature checks and frequent monitoring for COVID. All of our ships, we've always had a medical staff on board, but we're now tripling that. So just to be prepared and different systems of taking care of people in services that we've learned from our medical professionals we'll have on board that we didn't have in the past, and different health protocols as well. So those are kind of the things that we're doing, and we've proposed to the not only the EU but the Italian government. Since we are flagged in Italy, we need their clearance in order to sail, just like American lines need the CDC's clearance. And they gave it to us. They're satisfied with it, and from what we've seen so far, it's been working very well. And the American brands and the CDC is watching our developments over there to sort of mold and set their future as far as when we'll be able to go back to sea and what protocols need to be in place. So we're all in this together. You know, what's good for us is good for Carnival or Holland or Princess, and them for us as well, because we all want to be, you know, safe, and we want to make the cruise industry as enjoyable and as under demand as it has been in the past. So our new development for 21, we've got a lot of things going on. East Med, West Med, with the Deliziosa will be in the East Med. She's going to do a world, not a word cruise, but a world cruise. That's my two-man marketing team. We'll do a world cruise, 104 days in the spring. That's still scheduled. You know, we may make some adjustments to some itineraries and ports based on what's going on around the world. Diadema, Costa Diadema, she's going to do some short and long cruises from Genoa. In the spring, she's going to move up for the summer season into the Baltic and do Northern Europe. Fascinosa also heading to the Baltic. She'll do 10, 12, and 14 days from Kiel, Germany, even getting into Iceland. So it's a really exciting itineraries up there. And keep in mind, that's 8 months away. So plenty of time, you know, to still get your clients on board. Groups might be a little tight right now, but a good way to, you know, to satisfy this pent up demand and get people cruising again and vacationing again. The Fabulosa, we've got her in the winter Caribbean, but not until 21, 22. So we did cancel the Caribbean season because of the uncertainty here. So she'll start sailing in November, December of 21 through March of 22. In the meantime, she's going to do long Northern Europe and some short cruises out of Savona in the spring. The Costa Smeralda, she's going to stay in our home in the West Med. That's where we live. That's where we're born. She's our flagship at this moment until the next ship comes out. So she'll be in the Western Med pretty much year round. Did I go backwards? Nope, sorry. Uh-oh. My slide's not moving. Come on. There we go. So the experience on Costa. And if you'd like a copy of this PowerPoint, I can send it to you. If you let Jeff know, we can get this to you. There is a video here as well on how do you say holiday in Italian, and it's kind of entertaining. But we are the authentically Italian brand of Carnival Corp. We're suited, as I mentioned earlier, for foodies, wine lovers, art lovers, destination collectors, history buffs, and just generally explorers that really want to get out and be immersed in the places that we go. We are Europe's and China's #1 cruise line, and we're North America's preferred cruise line for an authentic, actually the only cruise line for an authentic Italian cruise vacation. We've won a number of awards, even in the US, even though we're relatively small here compared to our sisters, for best Med itineraries, best Far East, Middle East, and USA Today has given us some accolades as well on a global basis. We sail all around the world. So we're in the Med, Northern Europe, Africa, Dubai, Far East Indian Ocean, South America, Caribbean. Next year, we sail around the world, and we also obviously do transatlantics when we're coming from the Caribbean or South America back and forth to Europe. It's that warm and genuine Italian hospitality. So the love, laughter, la dolce vita. If you're Italian or Italians, they love life and they love to have a good time. I'll see people, an 84-year-old grandfather dancing with his great granddaughter, 6 years old, on his shoes at 10:30 at night, and it's just so much fun to watch because they really do enjoy life. And I think going forward, that's going to be even more important and more of a sort of a selling proposition as well. It is a cosmopolitan ambiance, so the ships are very stylish. They're very Italian, and they're known for that. But it gives you an opportunity with an eclectic audience, to meet new friends from around the world. It's a blend of languages, cultures, people, nationalities. So that if your guests are excited about that, we're one of the only games in town. If they're not, and they'd rather have an American experience, then again, they're probably better off on one of our sister brands. So we've always been the Italian ambassador for passion, style, quality, and hospitality. And again, those looking for this fully immersive, uninterrupted international experience from start to finish without the international price tag. So, so you can, so you get for working at home, huh? My wife, can you pick up a dozen eggs? So, they're looking for that international experience, but without the international price tag. So if you go on a land package, for example, you're probably going to spend, 100 or 200 a day, and you're going to be in a motor coach, and you're going to be checking in and out of hotels, and, all the schlepping. You're missing part of your vacation just in transportation. So on our ships, you can basically, on a good date, you can sail for $100 a day, wake up somewhere new every morning, let the captain do all the work, and you just open your drapes in the morning and you get a new vista without all the schlepping around. So a fantastic way to see, 5 different ports in 7 days, 3 different countries, something you couldn't do in a week on land, but also you couldn't do for near the value. So again, back into the, Italy's finest. A couple of years ago, we looked at ourselves and said, what are we known for? And we are the only Italian brand. And we went to the top Italian brands on land and that we could partner with. And we came up with, Ferrari sparkling champagne or sparkling wine, Burla pasta, Nutella, Illy coffee, 5 or 6 different other ones, and brought those partnerships on board so that it is a true Italian experience all the way through. So the future, and this is to me the exciting part. We're going to be free here in the next coming weeks and months to get back to our new normal lives. Like the socializing, gathering together, getting back to those basic human connections that we've all been forced to put on hold. And when that time comes, and it will be here soon, I believe it's going to be hit with an increased desire for people to enjoy life, with the people that are important to us, friends, family, loved ones, neighbors, whomever, and just get out and live again. I've said this before because I've gone through this a few years ago with Costa. Difficult times are for the moment, and they will pass, but let them awaken us and protect the good things in life by celebrating life, family, friends, our health, while we can, and perhaps these things we weren't paying attention to previously. So it gives us a chance to kind of be reflective. So this combination of people wanting to celebrate life again, and they can do it by traveling, it's going to result in an increased demand for people looking for a way to enjoy the world again together. And this is where the groups come in. I think they will be looking to do it together because they've been cooped up so much with each other. Not that you don't appreciate the person you've been cooped up with, but you'd like to go out and be uncooped with other people and just enjoy the world again. So it's also going to result in a need for a professional travel agent to help guide them through this process, because this new reality is that flights are going to be different, restrictions are going to be different, even documents probably going to be a little different. Getting in and out of a place with hotels and transfers. The cruise will be the easy part, but they're going to look to you, and they're also going to look to you for assurance to say, what do you think about this? And do you have confidence in this company? And if you put it together, I feel a lot better, and it doesn't cost them anything, than if I put it together and I'm out there on my own. So I always say, what people really need is, particularly now, is something to look forward to, and it can't be more true than right now. So be there for them. If you are there for them if you do that for them now, which is I don't remember who said it, but it's a shame to waste a good tragedy. This is the perfect time to show the value of your services. And if you do this for them now, they're going to come back to you and say, wow, you really took care of this, and I really appreciate what you did for me. So we're very supportive of our travel partners. You know, we do over 90%, almost 95% of our business is through you. We don't go after direct bookings. We don't have the resources. We don't have the desire. We need you to help tell our story, because who is Costa? You know, we're the number one brand in Italy, 62% market share. We're the number one brand in Europe, 48% in total. But in the North America, we're not as well known. So we need our travel partners to help tell our story and explain a little bit what's Costa all about. What do you know about them? And we're looking for that different niche, instead of somebody who just wants to sit on the ship or sit on a motor coach and explore the sites. Like I think I mentioned, my parents, you know, they would rather just put their toe in the water over there, but come back to an American hotel. We're looking for those people that are explorers and they really want to get out and see the world and experience the world. So to show our appreciation, any of those bookings that were affected last year, if you had any, we're paying commissions on the ones that were canceled. We're also paying commission on the future cruise credits that were coming forward. So we're basically paying double commission. And we're working with our guests and our travel partners on these SCC vouchers, or a refund if that's what they opt for. But a lot of times it's 125% or even 150 at the beginning, future cruise credit. So it's a tremendous value if you're still interested in sailing with us. And we're working with that. So if you have any questions on this, and I can post this again, Jeff, with your help, you can go to our website. You can call our Res Center. It's 1-800-GO-COSTA. And you know, we'll try to make it as simple as possible.
Yeah, for sure. We'll put that at the tail end of the presentation as well, so people can link directly over to that. If you can stop screen share over at the bottom. Here we go. Awesome. Good. So great presentation, really informative. A couple of questions about the onboard experience. Am I to assume that you're not doing buffets for any meals now? Has that been closed off temporarily?
Yeah, good question. So the buffet area restaurants are still open, but they're going to be plated and served by the waiters, rather than you go and pick, you know, certain things.
Okay,
that's a
okay,
work
that
in progress. Sense. But yeah, that's so it's still going to be a lot of variety, rather than, you know, you have to order off a menu. But instead, you're going to pick from either a QR or a menu that says, "I'd like this, this, and this," and they'll bring it to you. Okay. So in essence, you know, with these things, like something like that, sorry, Jeff, to interrupt, but that and the spacing, for example, at a bar, you know, in the past, you could belly up to a bar and you'd be elbow to elbow with 6 or 8 people. That's going to be eliminated. So you can't sit at the bar next to each other because of the spacing. So now it's, in other words, in that and in the buffet, the service level is going to be raised, because you tell the bartender what they want. They'll bring the drink to you. So you're sort of on a premium or upscale experience, but you're getting it on a contemporary upscale brand. So the service levels are actually going to increase. And I think it's going to be exciting to see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a good way to look at it. Then the second one is in reference to the onboard entertainment. Will those be extended show times during the evening, or will you just be repeating events during the cruise? So if you missed it on a Tuesday, you can go back on a Thursday. Or is that still being ironed out?
They've at this point, they've done them where the shows are more shows per night. So there's 3 or 4 shows per night at this point. That's a good point, though. It could come to a point where, you know, it's difficult with costumes and sets to do 2 shows of one type and then all of a sudden switch to another, you know, to an hour later. So I think that's going to remain, and it'll just be more shows, more quantity with less people per show. But we also want to have everybody have the chance to see it. So, you know, our showrooms can hold 12, sometimes 14, 1,500 people. So if we have 50% and we're doing 4 shows instead of 2, really you're down to about 350 people per show, which is easily accommodatable.
Yeah, absolutely. So can you talk just a little bit about the reaction that people have had coming back to cruising? What are some of the early comments that you're getting back, feedback?
Yeah, we had one of our guys on board a couple of weeks ago, and he did a tour and he interviewed some people. by and far, overwhelming response has been positive. They're very happy to get back on board. They're very happy that all these requirements are in place, even wearing masks. You know, they're used to it. I mean, we've been wearing them for what, 4 or 5 months now. So it's almost like, you know, if you leave your car without a mask, I know I get out to a Publix or something, like, oh man, I should just sew it onto my face because, or keep one in my pocket or my wallet. But you know, you're just used to it everywhere you go anymore. So except at home. So they're fine with that. And you know, they like, back to my point about the safety, they like the fact that we're doing these things so that they are protected and they can still go on vacation, but feel like we've got their back and we're watching out for them. It's not only important for us to do that for them, but it's our crew, it's our future. So we have to make sure we get this right. And it benefits everybody, you know, to make sure that we have these protocols. And it's a new world. So we're going to be living in this for, you know, for a little while until things change.
Yeah, you're right about that. Yeah, I think the one concern that people have had, you know, once we feel that it's safe to travel again, especially overseas, will be airlift, because obviously that's gonna get reshuffled. Have you guys, and maybe this can even be off the record here, from sort of a technical standpoint, if the airlift isn't there, would you consider charters again, or you know, what's the process of getting people from America over to Europe to actually cruise?
Yeah, no, good question. And by the way, nothing's off the record. I learned that years ago. So, you know, we haven't looked at that at this point because charters are typically very risky. And I think the airlines, you know, they have reason to get flying again also. So I think, you know, gradually when the EU lifts the restrictions on Americans, Canadians can fly now, it's going to come back. And I believe that the demand is going to, you know, you talk about pent up demand all the time, but I think there's a lot of people that just, you know, are saying, I'm tired of this. I want to get out. I want to live my life. Life's too short. You know, this is probably not the best analogy, but I'll share it anyway, because I always think of it, you know, 9/11, people said, you know, a week after or 2 weeks after, oh, I'll never fly again, you know, and then all of a sudden rates came down to $499 to go to Hawaii. And they're like, well, you know, I'm not sure. And all of a sudden it's $299. Like, life's too short. Let's go. You know? So I think the airlines are going to ramp up, and there's going to be, you know, they're going to do their yield management like they always do. There's going to be some good deals to get over there to get, you know, it might not be as many flights, but they'll figure it out. And I think it's going to take care of itself once things get opened up. You know, they're eager to start flying international again. They want to get their crews back in the air. They want to get their crews, you know, all their crews back working again. So yeah, it's going to take some time, but they'll have to go through those same regulations that we're going through, in order to make it safe and people feel like they can fly again. You know, my son lives in Chicago and he's flown probably 10 times in the last 6 months. I haven't been on a plane since. I just haven't had a reason to. And some people, they just don't think about it. You know, he's 25 years old and he's like, let's go. You know, it's takes precautions and he's very cautious, but yeah, I think there's a lot of people that are out there that are just ready to get back to life again.
Yeah. For groups that I've spoken with, you know, they feel they're going to lose a percentage of travelers that are just too scared, too old, and that's part of the equation that everybody has to deal with. But eventually, there's going to be the fear of missing out, and you haven't traveled in however long period of time, and your friends are going, or your colleagues are going, your neighbors are going, and as long as your economic situation allows it, then people are going to get back to what they did, and there will be a future. So I think the more we keep pointing towards that, the better off we're all going to be, because you can't just be a victim of circumstances, and that's really what everybody is at this point. Is we're kind of hunkered down, but looking forward to better days ahead. So Scott, I know sea trade's going on this week. Obviously, a lot of news about cruise lines trying to get back in business. Desperation pleas from Alaskan ports about bringing the cruise industry back in 21. As we mentioned at the beginning, some of this is political, others safety protocol. What's the pathway to opening up North American cruising again, in your opinion?
Tongue in cheek, removing the head of the CDC. Oh, I'm kidding. I think it's what's happening right now, the evidence with Costa and one of the other brands, MSC, over in Europe, and that it's working is helpful for the CDC. But they've got their hands full right now. The cruise lines have done a fantastic job in CLIA of developing these protocols. There's lists of anywhere from 45 to 110 different things that the cruise lines are doing, and CLIA. It's been presented to the CDC. So I think like in Europe, for example, in Italy, Costa is the biggest travel company in Italy and one of the biggest in Europe. And also Fincantieri, which is a shipyard there, employs thousands and thousands of Italians. So it's a bigger part of their economy than it is here. So although we're looking here at hundreds of thousands of jobs that have been lost, and millions of dollars, not just cruise people, but all the subsidiaries, from Uber drivers to taxi drivers to port people to suppliers, travel agents. I mean, our travel partners are suffering, and we're lobbying not lobbying. That's not the right word. We're showing them proof that we can do these things and get back to a safe environment. And I think it's just going to take a little time. Everyone's making progress. The CDC was supposed to extend till February, and the White House stepped in and said that's ridiculous. Let's step it back. They're making what more can they do? So as far as the cruise lines, so they backed it off till November. And so I think we're close. And Sea Trade, from the comments that came from the panel yesterday, a lot of brands think they could be sailing by the end of the year in the U.S. And more say certainly by Q1. So we're close. I talked to somebody this morning and I said, "Can you believe it's October already?" And I'm like, I'm so glad it's October, because in March I was saying I can't wait for October. I just want to get it over with, And so here we are in October, and we've suffered. We've all suffered. Everyone I'm talking to has suffered through this, and we're working at it as feverishly as we can, and we can see the end of the tunnel. So hopefully that's going to happen here in late fall. Certainly in 2021, whether it's Q1 or we're focusing really on April 1 for North Americans to go to Europe, just to be safe. But when we're hoping that we can open it up before, as long as the airlines allow us to.
Sure. Well, I certainly appreciate you guys providing the path out. There has to be somebody in the marketplace who is putting the protocols in place and showing that it can be done. So, best wishes in keeping up that process and expanding the scope and expanding the number of cruises. And, I hope that in North America, we're looking at what's going on overseas as sort of a precursor to what we could have as well. Because as you mentioned, there's a lot of jobs that are at stake in this economic crisis that the cruise industry and the travel industry is dealing with. And we need a healthy cruise industry in order to be whole. So we'll follow up on the story as we get a little bit closer to that, and news posting on Leisure Group Travel about different cruise lines and plans. And certainly I'll look forward to getting myself and hopefully the family back on board Costa again in the future.
Oh, we'd love to have you. I want to make one last comment, if you don't mind. I think it's a little self-serving for your group. I looked at this as, talking to friends and other people, and it's like, God, let's go to Europe. And I said, all right, let's go on the Diadema. We'll take you on the Smeralda, and we got 4 or 5 couples that we hang out with, and we're all planning to go like in May. And it just kind of hit me that people not necessarily that I go with my wife and we love it, but something about going with a group of people and enjoying it. And there's also a security in that in some way, whether it's 10 people or 40 people. So I've worked with Genoa to come up with a group plan that's brand new for us that we're going to introduce in about 2 weeks, with point-based amenities, additional OBC, additional commission, additional TCs, internet, drink packages that'll be included, rate reduction if they want to do that. So we're going to have that ready hopefully by November 1st, and I'll share that with you so that you can share that with your membership and listeners. But so I really think that that's, whether it's a group of 4, 6, 8, we'll protect the rate. But I really think that group travel with friends and affinities is going to be a real stimulus going into late 21 and 22. As far as sailing.
I can't agree with you more. Quite honestly, I think the shared experiences that people have not had, those regular get-togethers that they've not been able to, there's going to be a real thirst for that coming out. So again, just like you're ahead of the game and getting out cruising, the group amenity package is going to help a lot. And that should be certainly advice for anybody who's organizing groups out there or is trying to make that part of their coming out plan, is to seek those type of people, because those little travel bubbles are going to drive that initial demand. So definitely let's follow up on that and get that in people's hands as quick as we can.
Excellent, will do.
Great. Okay, thank you very much, Scott. Appreciate your time today.
All right, Jeff, thank you. Bye, everybody. Ciao, everybody.